right? So he links me to this study. It's called something like every 28 hours.
Yes.
And it's like every 28 hours, a black man is killed by police in the U.S. So the stats were from 2012, and the numbers were 313 shootings of black men by police in 2012. So I was like, that's plausible, but the question there is, are these shootings justified or not? And he's throwing all these stats from like the blurb about the study at me. He's like, 43% of the time they were unarmed and 43% of them were racial profiling. I was like, okay, so out of 313, like 43% they didn't have a gun. And, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a threat. And how do you prove it's racial profiling? And he's like, he basically begged the question on whether it's racial profiling. It's racial profiling because they didn't have a weapon. So it's like, and like supposedly they act suspicious or whatever. And I was like, this all sounds just like a crock of shit. So I actually downloaded this study, the PDF of it. I'll link to it. We can link to it in the text for this post. And I started looking through it. I'm reading. I'm like, okay, so I was like, I actually want to find out if in fact, because the idea is that these are all unjustified shootings, but in fact, what they did was just tabulated all the shootings of a black person by a white person that year. I mean, that's quite literally what it was. Because if you read the fine print, it wasn't just police; it was actually police and security guards and vigilantes. And I realized this as I'm reading down the incidents, and I'm looking at the short description. And most of them are like carjacker steals car, crashes car, gets out of the car, shoots at the police that are chasing him. Police kill him. I mean, like a surprising number of them are like exactly that. I'm like, okay, so what the fuck are you complaining about? Like this is systemic racism in action. But then I get to one. It was like so and so Billy Bob, some redneck name, and his brother Jimmy Joe go out with a shotgun and gun down 3 blacks, literally just in cold blood gunned them down, right? Oh, wow. And then it was they were arrested and have been charged with 3 counts first degree murder and are being held without bond. And I was like, wait. And at this time I thought it was all still police killings. And I was like, wait, what? So then I'm like, dude, what the hell is this? How does this have anything to do with police? And he's like, it has to do with systemic white oppression. And I was like, are you kidding me? He's like, vigilante deaths are a significant part of black oppression from white privilege. And I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? I thought this was a document about police killings. completely plausible that police shot 313 black men in 2012. Totally plausible. Never mind the fact that blacks probably shot somewhere between 4,000 and 7,000.
The numbers from a 2007 U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics
actually is the.
Well, this is the one I'm pulling up. It's 2007.
Either way.
It's blacks were victims of 7,999 homicides in 2005, and that 93% were killed by people who shared their race.
Yeah. Oops. You're right. So yeah, I mean, and I actually did go look at.
That's also white people's fault, though. So.
Right. I actually did go look at the 2012 stats, and there were 4,203. Convicted murders of blacks by blacks, and there were 14,000 some odd murders in the whole year, so we can guess that it was probably around 7,000 for the whole year, given the numbers that weren't caught and convicted. So it's that's actually one every hour and 15 minutes. So let's put out a study every hour and 15 minutes. A black is killed by another black, and it was amazing to me that he was including and this was this one case that I ran across, blatant racist murder. Okay, I can say that doesn't hurt my narrative to say that. These were 2 rednecks that went out and killed 3 blacks because they wanted to, and they confessed to that, and they're going to go to jail for life. So it's and this is the systemic racism. The system punished them. And then most of the cases with the cops is one case was okay, so they're transporting a suspect from one detention facility to another. He somehow gets free, stabs one of the cops to death, drives away in the patrol car, and then the other cop shot him. And it was the funniest thing in the margin they have little notes, and it was the note on that one was the grand jury ruled no excessive force used. And I was like, yeah, considering he just stabbed
that had
guy.
to go to a fucking grand jury. Yeah, that is systemic racism to me.
I know. Yeah. I was actually at first I was annoyed, and then I just started laughing at this pathetic attempt. And of course, the group that did this so-called study was something called the Malcolm X grassroots movement. And so it's just funny. And I'll link to the study, and you could look at it. So first of all, there's like bad grammar, there's spelling mistakes. There's no significant math done. The only kind of math in the whole thing is percentages. like taking that 313 number and then whatever like a sub number is like 57% weren't armed. And this number, and like so, all someone figured out how to take two numbers and get a percentage. But other than that, there's like zero mathematical analysis or graphing or charting in the whole thing. It's actually
that's probably the one black Jew that they had.